Hey guys, I hope you're all well. I thought I'd jump on and give my kind of recap on the first preseason game against AC Milan. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I thought of the game, what I thought of some of the players, good and bad, and then also kind of have a quick conversation around what I think we still need to do in order to be ready for the season ahead. So look, the game itself was kind of what you would expect from a first preseason match. I know we had the behind closed doors match against Watford a few days ago, but this was the real first preseason test, if you like. And yeah, like I said, it was what you would expect. The conditions were hot and humid, and I think that really took its toll on the players. But I think the frustrating part for me was I didn't see a huge difference in our style of play to what we were doing last season. And what I mean by that is we were still so heavily biased towards that right-hand side and having everything go through Saka. And my problem with that is it just makes us so one-dimensional in the sense that because the opposing teams know that 95% of what we do going forward goes through Saka, they just lock down that right-hand side. They put 2-3 men on Saka, and it essentially nullifies our attacking threat. You know, I was watching Martinelli in that first half, and I felt sorry for him. I felt sorry for him, if I'm being honest, because he must be sitting over there thinking, give me the ball, give me a chance, give me a crack at having a go and taking on a defender. Like every time Martinelli got the ball, he was right up against the touchline, pretty much on the halfway line with his back towards goal. And the only option he had was just to fizz it back to Zinchenko or to give it to Rice. And I just don't understand why we're so focused on going down that right channel. Like it just feels wrong to me, and it makes our whole kind of attack feel really clunky. And I think that is a must change going into this season. And look, I know Gyökeres is going to be coming in, and that's going to be another weapon that defenses are going to have to think about, which is going to take some of the emphasis off Saka. But I don't understand why we can't have a more balanced approach to our attack in terms of Saka, left winger, and striker. At the moment, it just seems way too focused on Saka, which it just doesn't work for me. In terms of players that stood out, I thought Ben White looked incredibly fresh and really ready to have a big season. He looked lively, he looked sharp. You know, he was overlapping on Saka. He was putting some really good balls through to Saka for Saka to run onto, and I thought he just looked really sharp. So it's going to be really interesting to see who kind of wins that battle between Ben White and Timber this year. Timber was one of my top 3 players from last season, and I think he's exceptional. So I think worst case scenario, we have 2 incredibly good right backs to choose from, which is only going to be a win. I thought Saka looked sharp, as he always does. I thought Norgard just looked really solid. He just looked like a really solid player who knew what his role was and did it well. And I think he'll be a useful person to kind of fall back onto. And I think he will allow Zubimendi to kind of find his feet a little. So I thought he looked good. I've written some notes down, so bear with me. Saliba was immense. I mean, I know everyone likes to talk about Van Dijk, and look, he is the benchmark, he's the reference point, but Saliba, when he's on it, he is just so good. Like some of the cover runs he made last night in that game, he just makes it look so easy. And I just hope we can tie him down to a long-term contract. Look, I know where this will end up. I know he won't stay at Arsenal for the next 5-8 years, but I would love to see him for at least the next 3 or 4 seasons. And the only way that's going to happen is if we can tie him down to a longer contract. So I really hope that becomes a priority throughout the rest of the transfer window, because he's just class. He is class. Nwaneri was really impressive. I thought he had a couple of magic moments in that first half. The piece of skill he did on the right-hand touchline where he just absolutely spun that AC Milan defender. The shot he had, which was destined for the bottom right corner, was a beautiful piece of skill. And I think he has a huge role to play this season. And I think he definitely can play in that central role and kind of offer up an alternate or a piece of competition to Odegaard. The thing that worries me is you look at Nwaneri and you want to give him the minutes because you know the talent is there. But what I'm worried about is that we might say, well, we've got Nwaneri, we've got Odegaard, so we don't need an Eze. And in theory, I can understand that. But if we're trying to win the Premier League, if we're trying to win the Champions League, if we're trying to compete on all levels, I think we just need more. We need more, and we need more quality. And so all it takes is for Odegaard or Nwaneri to get injured, and then all of a sudden we're down to just one creative player. So I still think, despite the fact Nwaneri is hugely talented and will play a really big role in this season, I just think a big club would still be going after an Eze. So despite how great Nwaneri looked, I still want Eze in this team moving into the season. I thought Havertz and Odegaard, I expected more. I've heard a couple of people saying that they thought Odegaard looked quite sharp. Yeah, I thought he looked sharp, but at the same time, there's just not enough, there's not enough decisiveness with Odegaard. He still doesn't look like the player he looked like 2 seasons ago to me. He still seems to, he turns, he pivots, he makes space, but he just, nothing really seems to come off the back of what he does. I would love to just see him become more effective and just take the game more, because I think when he does that, he's borderline unplayable. So I expect more from those two. I thought Havertz was pretty much anonymous. I know he put a good shift in and he tried hard, he worked hard, he put some good tackles in, but again, that's not going to win you the Premier League. So I'm just so excited to see Gyökeres step in and kind of do what you want your striker to do, which is to score goals. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts there. I wanted to touch on the young kids. I mean, Dauman, wow, 15 years old. 15 years old to do what he did last night. And look, it's weird. It is weird talking about a 15-year-old. A 15-year-old really shouldn't be anywhere near a Premier League team, let alone a Premier League team that's, somewhat trying to compete for the Premier League. But he just looks so assured on the ball, so comfortable, so silky. He was demanding the ball off players. He wanted the ball. He was, he looks like a special talent. Now, I have to say I probably agree with the likes of Turkish, who kind of said something along the lines of, look, yeah, he looks special. It's great to have a player of that kind of, potential and quality. But if we are trying to win the Premier League and chase the Champions League, we shouldn't be sitting here talking about a 15-year-old. And I have to say that I agree. Happy for him to get a couple of minutes in maybe some Carabao Cup games or early FA Cup matches. But I think all in all, Dauman should be left to kind of just continue his development, really. And the same goes for the other kids who played last night. That Josh Nichols kid, I didn't realize he's 18. He literally looks about 10. But again, absolute pitbull. There were some moments where he got himself into a bit of a hole and he just he fought his way out of it and dealt with it. And I just thought, it's just so impressive to think that a 15-year-old can be playing professional football at that level and looking so at ease with it. So yeah, I take my hats off to all the young kids who kind of came on last night. I thought Kepa looked, pretty assured of himself when he came on. Definitely impressed from a penalty taking point of view. Some really fantastic penalty saves. And I don't care what anyone says. I know he's a Chelsea player, but for 5 mil as our backup option, I'm really happy with that signing. So yeah, look, that's my thoughts on the game. As I said, in terms of what I think we still need, I still think we need more. You can see the options are not there from an attacking point of view. We're so stacked defensively. We have so many options defensively. I just want to mirror that in the attack. That's what I want us to do. So I want Eze coming through the door. And I still want a left winger. And it's not because I think Trossard and Martinelli are not good enough, but they've had 2-3 seasons to play their part to get us across the line. And I'm not seeing enough of an improvement from them to suggest that if we go into another season with them as our left wing options, that we're going to finally cross the line. And so I really do want to see another player brought in on that left wing side. I don't think that should mean that we have to get rid of a Trossard or a Martinelli. I'd much rather focus on trying to shift the likes of Lokonga, Vieira, Zinchenko, and keep Trossard and Martinelli, because I think they both can definitely play a role in this season. But if you have to ask me what I want Eze, and then I want a left winger who is an upgrade on Martinelli and Trossard. So I basically want Saka, Gyökeres, and then I want an upgrade left wing, and I want Eze to kind of float between left wing and central. And I think if we get those two players in, I think we're in a really good position moving into the new season. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Follow, like, subscribe, all that jazz. And I look forward to making another video as we approach our next preseason game against Newcastle on Sunday. Have a great day, guys. Bye.